Today we want to talk about money. Money. This is very important, and yet many people have no knowledge about it, or even if we do, we have wrong perceptions of how we should acquire them. What is money? Money has been defined in the books as a medium of exchange and for the payment of goods and services. This is good definition, but there is a big challenge with such a definition. The challenge with such the definition is that it does not help us to have a good view about what money is. Okay? If you see it as a medium of exchange, anytime it comes into your hands, you would want to use it to buy something. Okay, but rather money should be seen as a seed. This is very important because seeds are planted. Money must be seen as a seed. Now, let's look at the three types of people we have and how they manage money. If you have poor money management strategies, always you are going to suffer because you can't actually make life that is very meaningful to you. Now, the person A has this view about money, and this is the view. The view is this: income here, and then we have expenditure here. All this portion is for the expenditure. Okay? Yes, which is a wrong way of seeing money. For the purpose of clarity, let me take away this and then try and look at it from this angle. We have three types of people and the way money is viewed by them. Three types. After this, you are going to tell me which group you belong to. Be candid about it because it is your life. If you are able to identify your problem, you're able to solve it. This is it, and this is it. Now, this is expenses for somebody, and this is the income. That's for A. And for B, the expenses and income levels are almost the same. Yes. And then person C, the income is like this, and the expenses like that. Now, one thing which is very critical about this is this. With the person A, he earns little, but he spends more. And most of the world's population are found here, earning so little and yet spending more, wanting to actually spend more than they earn. And these people, in the near future, if nothing is done about the way they look at money, is going to lead them into serious money crisis, serious problems, economic problems that may land them as paupers. And in fact, most of the celebrities we have in our world, this is how it landed them. There are so many footballers, so many fighters, so many athletes who had a huge income, but their expenses were too huge. They bought houses which they didn't need, plush houses. They didn't really need them, flashy cars, and all their money got away. Some used it on women, some used it on drugs, and some careless or reckless lifestyle, and it affected them badly. Now, let's look at B. The person B has almost an equal income to expenditure. Almost equal. This is it. This is the income and this is the expenditure. And for this person, we can say he's a hand-to-mouth person. All that he earns, he actually squanders everything at the end of each month. And this is where most of the middle-class people find themselves. And I want to ask you, how much do you earn and how much are you able to save? This is important if you really want to make life. And then we have this one, the person C. This person makes a huge income and spends less. In other words, this person is able to create wealth. He's able. And this is where we have only a few people in this our world, located. higher income, lower expenditure. You see, if you're able to reach here, that is when we would say you have made life. Now, let's look at our habits and how they actually influence the way we spend, the way either our expenses are going to be higher than our income, or they are going to be equal, or our income levels are going to be higher than our expenses. Let's look at them. Look at yourself today. How much have you spent? Now, let's begin to have a smaller calculation. Have you been to the social media? Social media, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and the rest. Are you aware that they take data? Yes. For which purpose did they go there? Is it for entertainment or for education? If it's for education, that is good. But if it's just for entertainment, watching of videos, and for other unproductive activities, it means your money is leaking through the data you have been purchasing. That aside, how much have you spent on food today? How much have you spent on clothing? How much have you spent on transportation today? Transportation, how much? Look at your expenditure patterns. So at the end of the day, I want you to calculate all the expenses you made. How much was it? And compare it with the amount of money you made in a day. How much were you able to make? How much money were you able to produce in a day? If you're able to produce this less and you're able to spend this much, it means you are in trouble, serious trouble. That must be looked at again, because your expenditure pattern is way higher than your income. And that should leave you thinking. If you're able to make an income which is much more than the expenses, then that means you are on your way to become a success. But if your expenses is always higher than your income, then that means you would have to have a real look at how to cut down on your expenses. So from this level, you need to cut down your expenses so that you will come to this level where income and expenditure will be the same. And if you are also here, find ways to cut down your expenses so that your income levels will be higher than your expenditure. That is the first thing you need to do. The next thing you would have to do is that, remember we said money is a seed. How much are you able to save for yourself? Money is a seed. If you are close to farmers, you realize that at the end of the harvest season, some of their harvest is kept as seed, which they will plant in the next farming season. Such is money. Money must be saved. At least some portions, we say 10% should be saved and invested. It's not enough to save and invest. But the first point is to save, which of course many people are unable to do. I want you to take a decision today that by the end of this day or by the end of this month, you will save something. Try to put the little coins that you gather at the end of every day somewhere, and it will make a whole lot. Try and save about 10% of your income for investment and for emergencies. It is very important. You must not always go asking for loans, to borrow loans from friends and banks and all those things. It doesn't help. It is unproductive. Save. See money as seed, something that must be planted. Yes, but not as a medium of exchange. If you see it as a medium of exchange, the moment money comes into your hand, you begin to question yourself. How can I actually spend this money? What can I use this money for? But if you see it as a seed, then it means you would find ways to save some of them and find ways to invest some of them. And that way, at least you'll make life. So the crux of this video is that make sure that ultimately you are able to have a huge income and less expenses. If you are able to do this, it means you'll be able to gather wealth. You'll be able to gather wealth. Gathering wealth is not an easy task, but with discipline, you can do it. So why don't you take it upon yourself to begin saving and investing? The next time, in the next video, we are going to talk about investment opportunities that are available and how we can actually grow our monies. But today, we are looking at ways to cut down our expenses so that our income will be much more than our expenses. If you find this video helpful enough, why don't you subscribe to the channel? Thank you for watching.